The monster with 21 faces. You probably know these chocolate sticks. Yeah, Pocky. They're famous all over the world. But what most people don't know is that the company behind them, Glico, was once pulled into one of the most disturbing criminal cases in Japanese history. And the worst part? It was never solved. Today, we're looking at the story known as the Glico Morinaga case. And, of course, the mysterious figure behind it all, the monster with 21 faces. Glico is a Japanese confectionery company founded in Osaka almost 100 years ago. By 1984, it had become one of the biggest names in the market. Just 2 years earlier, the founder stepped down, and the company was handed over to his son, Katsuhisa Ezaki, a 42-year-old man trying to balance family life and the pressure of running a major corporation. At first, everything looked stable, normal, almost boring, in the best possible way. Then came the night of March 18, 1984, and everything changed. Around 9 p.m., 2 armed men broke into the Ezaki home while Katsuhisa was taking a bath. First, they ran into his wife and one of their 3 children. They tied them up immediately. Then they went looking for Katsuhisa. He heard the noise and tried to stay hidden in the bathroom. A fair survival strategy, honestly. Not a great one, but understandable. It didn't work. The intruders stormed in, dragged the company president out of the bath practically naked, and shoved him into a car. Then they vanished. His family managed to free themselves and call the police. But by then, all anyone could do was wait. The next morning, the kidnappers made their demands. They wanted the equivalent of $4.5 million and 100 gold bars, which was completely unrealistic. Glico was successful, yes, but not hand over a ton of gold successful. So from the beginning, it was obvious that this was not a normal kidnapping for money. The demands were too extreme, too theatrical, almost insulting, and that's because money was probably never the real goal. A few days later, Katsuhisa managed to escape on his own. He rubbed through the ropes binding him, and on March 21st, he was found in Osaka, walking beside a railway line. He was badly beaten, exhausted, wearing only his trousers, with scraps of rope still hanging from his wrists and ankles. He gave police a vague description of the kidnappers, but it never led anywhere useful. Then, on April 15, another envelope arrived. Inside was a cassette tape and a new demand, 60 million yen. If Glico refused, the kidnappers said they would contaminate the company's sweets with hydrochloric acid, and they wanted the company's response printed in a newspaper. The police chose not to react publicly. On April 10, 2 explosions went off. One hit Glico's central office in Osaka. The other happened at a regional office where a car was set on fire and exploded. In that second case, cameras captured the arsonist, but the footage still didn't help the police identify anyone. At this point, the public was terrified. Japan is usually seen as one of the safest countries in the world, so a corporate kidnapping, bomb threats, and poison scares felt almost unreal. But this was only the beginning. By late June, the monster had moved on. On June 28, Masamitsu Fujita, the president of another large company called Marudai, which specialized in fish products, received a letter demanding 50 million yen. What scared him even more was the warning that Marudai would experience the same thing Glico had. And this time, the threat was real. Several packages of Morinaga products were found with extra labels attached. They read, "Danger, contains poison." Testing confirmed that the products had, in fact, been poisoned. Now the threat was no longer just a game of intimidation. It was an actual public danger. The police prepared carefully for the next money drop. The method was bizarre. Fujita was supposed to board a specific train, sit in the seat indicated by the criminals, and throw the money bag out the window when he saw a white flag hanging from a building along the route. Yes, police officers were on the train too, but the operation failed again. It was a foggy day. Visibility was terrible. If the white flag was raised, no one noticed it. What they did notice was a strange man in the same train car. He was clearly watching Fujita and the police. Later, he was described as the fox-faced man, narrow eyes, long face, a sharp and unsettling look. He rode the train all the way to the final station, made sure Fujita had taken a return ticket, and then disappeared into the crowd. Just like that, their best lead vanished. On July 6, the group contacted Fujita again and arranged yet another exchange. He arrived at a restaurant with the money, only to receive another phone call directing him to a different location. When police got there, they found nothing but an empty can covered by a napkin. Again, the money didn't seem to matter. The humiliation did. One officer later spotted the fox-faced man near the handoff site. Police chased him, but he escaped again. The officer in charge of the operation, Yamamoto, could not bear the shame. He took his own life. A few days later, the monster sent one final letter. It said Yamamoto had died like a man and that their harassment of food companies was over. If anyone kept extorting corporations after that, the letter said, it would be an imitator. Then, silence. What was the point? No one ever identified the monster with 21 faces. No one ever proved who the fox-faced man was, and no one ever found a clear motive. There were theories, former employees, political groups, organized conspiracies, but none of them were ever confirmed. And the more you look at this case, the more it seems that money was not the real objective. The extortion demands were real, yes, but they may have been a tool for something else, to expose weakness, to mock the police, to humiliate major corporations in public. And in that sense, the monster got what it wanted. It turned one of Japan's most unsettling criminal cases into a national embarrassment and then disappeared without a trace. So even now, decades later, the monster with 21 faces remains exactly that, a face we never saw, a name we remember, and a mystery that never truly ended.